Hi, I'm Michelle Easton, president of the Claire Booth Luce Policy Institute in Virginia, here to interview Ann Coulter on her new book, Guilty, for C-SPAN's BOOKTV afterwards. How are you doing, Ann?
Great to be here.
Good to be with you also. Now, you've written 5 other best-selling books.
6.
6? Why did you write Guilty?
There was a little voice in my head saying, when's the next book coming? When's the next? Oh no, that was my publisher. It was just something I've noticed for a long time, how liberals use the idea of victimhood to get ahead, to shut down debate, to seek advantage, and it's sort of overtaken the entire world, where the real villains, the aggressors, the perpetrators, are always claiming to be mortally offended and, oh, I've been wounded, weep for me. And it's pernicious.
When the book first was coming out, I remember NBC had booked you weeks ahead in advance, and then suddenly they spiked you. What happened?
Well, according to the always reliable Drudge Report, I'm banned for life. That was lifted just long enough for me to go on the Today Show and have Matt Lauer tell me I'm not banned for life, and then the ban went back into effect.
But what is that? What is that about? How can they possibly justify that for somebody with 6 New York Times bestsellers? 7. Okay.
7 New York Times bestsellers,
Right.
Massive bestsellers. I don't know. I mean, you look at the mainstream media, and they seem to like to pick their own conservatives. They like more the Elizabeth Hasselbeck conservative, or the Elizabeth Hasselbeck of the New York Times, David Brooks. No, their conservatives aren't the ones I think we'd be picking as the conservative spokesman. And I mean, this is a trend with the left, with the fairness doctrine, as I describe in the book. There's a Clinton judge who wants to apply the campaign finance laws to the internet, to political speech on the internet. No, they want to shut down conservatives from speaking. It's an all-new world for liberals. It used to be they had pretty much 100% control of all information dissemination in America. Now you have these tiny little breaches in the wall of sound with talk radio and with the internet, so what do they want to do? Shut them down.
Right. Early one morning, just around the time it was being published, you were being interviewed by Howard K. Smith on CBS, and I was watching, and he said, Ann, you talk about victims and victimhood in America, but he said, the more I listen to you, I think you're the one claiming victimhood, that you are the victim of this great left-wing conspiracy. And he held out his arms and he said, you should have a cross. What is Howard Smith struggling with?
Well, I was very happy he had me on, so I love him. The Today Show would not have me on the first day my book came out, so so I won't say anything critical of the beloved Harry Smith. He had me on, he put me on my airwaves. I don't care what they say to me if they'll put me on, and that is becoming fewer and fewer outlets that will put me on. And I mean, just one thing about that, if with 7 New York Times bestsellers, you can't get on, you know, you can't be treated as well as, say, Naomi Wolf would be if she puts out a book, or well, many useless and silly liberals. How are the many fantastic conservative writers we have ever going to get out there? How's Chris Horner going to get out there, or you know, Niger Innes, Heather McDonald? We have so many fantastic, Byron York, you can go on and on and on. We have so many fantastic right-wing writers out there, and you're banging your head against the wall just to get attention for a book, and even a best-selling book, even your 7th best-selling book. When it's that hard for me to get on TV, what does that say about all the other conservatives that people don't know about?
Right. He also claimed, and other people have said, you know, you try to be funny, but he called it a sophomoric sort of simplistic view of things, and it keeps people from taking you seriously, according to him. I mean, what do you say to people who criticize your humor?
I mean, often these are said in front of audiences, and I mean, I suppose you could bring in a humor analyst to determine whether or not something is funny. I just know when 1,000 people in the audience laugh, that means it's funny. Somebody asked me about this on radio yesterday. I was standing in in the airport, and there was a man standing next to me, and she asked me about a line in my book. I was describing how the Democrats compete for victimhood, and Barack Obama, well, Hillary was a victim of of the Republicans. Barack Obama was a victim of Hillary, of the Republicans, and of white racists. So he won because he was the biggest victim. And you know, in describing how they play a game of you know, who's the biggest victim in order to win the Democratic nomination, I concluded, I think that's where it was, with a statement from Elizabeth Edwards talking about John Edwards running against Hillary and Obama and saying, well, we can't make John black and we can't make him a woman. And I said in my follow-up line, well, they can't make him black. And the woman was asking me if that's funny, and I said to her, there's a man standing next to me, he overheard that, and he just burst out laughing. That's how I know it's funny.
Right. That's right. Your audience tells you what's funny. But beneath the humor, you definitely hold a deep commitment to the founding principles of this country. Talk about what you think makes America such an exceptional country.
There are so many things. I mean, a lot of it does come from a Christian worldview, a Christian founding. Part of that is freedom of choice. So, of course, all religions prosper in America, but it was disproportionately Christians with a Christian worldview founding it. And part of what's interesting about that is, I mean, Christ was really upsetting the customs of his day by using so many women for his parables, by ministering to women so often. That was very unusual. So, as I've said before, the first feminist wasn't Gloria Steinem, it was Jesus Christ. And there is that idea of the freedom of choice, I mean, literally choice, not killing babies choice, and also the idea that all men are created by God, and therefore no man has the right to rule over you except by your consent, except some, I mean, it's not perfect consent, but that's the idea of a federalist democracy, that a king doesn't rule over you by divine right because the king has no genetic authority over you. There isn't a sun god or some genetic power to rule over other people. That's why you have to set up a system. We Republicans are not huge fans of direct democracy and the old Perot, you know, we'll have a poll question for every issue and take the numbers. You do want it to be, I mean, as the Federalists, as described in the Federalist Papers, you want it to be faction against faction. You want the more intelligent people to be choosing the leaders, but it is, in a sense, it is the rule by consent.
Right. Right, and that's exceptional.
And that is certainly, I mean, it's carried America through till now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this will be an interesting test of it right now, won't it?